Matchup is a easy and a quick way to align your garments or your segments. So if we select those two segments, and if you right click on one of them, there's a matchup option, and there are three variations: to start, to center, and to end. And the way it works is, depending on which line you clicked, that line is going to be basically locked, and the other one is going to be matching up to that one. So for example, if we click on this one and we click matchup, I'll go with start. As you can see, this garment stayed in place, and this the other one is now in the matching the segment that we selected. And the reason why in this case start, center, and end doesn't really matter is because the length is the same. So if I change this quickly, and again I want to match this one to this garment, so I will need to click this one, right click, and in this time I'm gonna press to end. What it does is basically it treats this point as beginning, as start, this point as the end, and the whole distance between them is basically going to be the center. So if I right click and match up center, it snaps it right to the center of the segment. This is a interesting and a nice little tool. One way to implement it, you can, for example, you can use it to trace patterns on top of what you have. So for example, if we match up those two together, and for some reason we want to make a new pattern, and even though there's an option to merge those together, but basically if there was something more complicated, we could have just matched up those the segments, so the garments are in place, and then we could have went and traced it this way. So as a result, we would have had a like a shape, but without the actual cut in between. A more practical way to use matchup, and it's a little bit complicated, but it worked really well. So for example, if we have something like this, when we have in this case it's a sleeve, and there's as you can see, there's a bunch of lines, but basically this indicates the direction where I want to have some details. Basically I want some kind of pattern, and I want this pattern to go exactly in this direction. I want the pattern to align perfectly with the direction and the angle of those lines on the sleeve. So to do this and to use matchup, we will begin with copy pasting the sleeve. And the way matchup works, by the way, it snaps only to the actual lines on the garments. It doesn't snap to the internal lines. It's only the outer lines that you can snap. So if, for example, we clicked on this line and then we clicked on this one, as you can see, there is no option for the matchup. But if we selected those two, there's the option. So that's the reason why the first thing that I did is I copy pasted the sleeve. And here's what I will do next. I will select all of those segments, and then I will click cut. I don't need to sew them together, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to do is basically create a pattern that aligns with those lines. And next thing is I'm going to make a bunch of copies of the pattern that I want to implement, and then I will select this edge, match up, center. Do the same here, match up, center.
If you enjoy this content or find it useful, please consider supporting me by buying me a cup of coffee via the link in the description.
And this is, in this case, this is purely for presentation. This kind of simple pattern in terms of rectangles we could have done using different tools, but this is me illustrating as to how matchup can be used when you want to create something that needs to be very specifically aligned in terms of angles or some other direction. So I will delete that. Then we can select those shapes, click clone as internal shape, shift so it snaps to the grid, or it snaps basically to the position of the pattern, and then I can basically put it anywhere I want. The idea here is that it's the direction of those things, it's the angle of those details. It's as you can see now, it's slightly offset because we did a cut here, so those pieces they got separated, but the goal, the point behind this is still valid. As you can see, this works pretty well, and that's one way to use matchup.